Hello, hello, hello. I think I've got the mic on. Mic on. Check, check. Checkity, check, check, check. Hey, everyone. Awesome. It is 12:30 p.m. on Thursday. Hello, 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 everyone. It is so great to see you out there. Little mic check. Hopefully you can hear me. I see someone out there. I'm going to see if I can get the comments up right away. Hey, who's ever out there, if you could give me a shout out in the comments, let me know you can hear me okay. That would be fantastic. Today's topic, how to get anything you want in life. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm still waiting for that comment to come in. We got 3 people joining us so far. Hey everybody, thanks for joining me today. It's so great to see you out there. If you can hear me, go ahead and let me know in the comments. Give me a thumbs up, give me a heart. Just let me know you can hear me okay. It's great to see you out there. Rosie, hello. Great to see you out there. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Lori Mage. I am a life and leadership coach. And what I do is I help people live and lead their most authentic, most awesome kick-ass lives. So if you're struggling to live your life on your terms and get the results that you truly want to create in your life, personally and professionally, this is the place to be. My goal with these videos is to help you be and become the best version of yourself. Do work you feel truly called to do and build a life that you absolutely freaking love by sharing some of the best tools and tips and ideas that I have found out there after doing this for over 20 something years. So before we jump into the content, again, thank you for joining me today. I want to give a chance to invite a few more people to join us. Hey, Dad, glad you can hear me. Good to see you, Dad. Before we jump into the content, I'm just going to take a second to invite a few more people to join us today. And while we wait for them to join us, I thought we'd do a quick check-in with you around today's topic. So today's topic is how to get anything you want in life, right? Which begs the question, what brought you here? What do you want to create in your life? So what do you really, really, truly want to create in your life? Before we jump in, just check in with yourself. Today's topic is how to get anything you want in life. Start to think to yourself, what do you really, really want in life? This one precious life of ours, what do you want to do with it? I just took Bowen for a walk down the street and ran into my neighbor Dennis, and his wife passed away this week. And she's only like 60 something. So like life's short, you know, it's precious. What do you really want to do with this one precious life? And today we're going to talk about 3 must-haves to create anything that you want to create in your life. 3 must-haves to create anything that you want to create in your life. So again, we'll just give the people a couple more minutes to, a couple more seconds actually, to join us. And then we will get started with today's topic. But be thinking to yourself, what do you really, really want to do with your life, your one precious life? Awesome. Again, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Lori Mage. I'm a life and leadership coach. I help people live and lead their most authentic, most awesome, kick-ass lives. And today in this video, we're talking about how to get anything that you want in your life, how to get anything you want in your life. And the first thing, if you want to grab a notebook or a piece of paper, is to, we'll get to that in just a second. I just want to share with you that this topic, the reason I chose it today is because oftentimes the people that I work with, they come to me because they're stuck and they're overwhelmed. They want to create change in their life, and they're often self-development junkies. They've read all the books, they've watched all the TED Talks, they're still struggling to create and sustain the changes they want to see in their life. And so they come to me often feeling overwhelmed and frustrated. And that's where I used to be 10 years ago, was overwhelmed with all of the ideas that it could be applying to my life. And so what I'm going to share with you today is a bunch of those ideas distilled into 3. And this 3-part framework that I'm going to share with you is the exact same framework I use to create all the results that I create in my life. So this is the same process I used to land my dream job. This was the same process I used to lose 60 pounds. This is the same process I'm using right now to build a successful business. This process can work if you, in almost any area that you want to apply it to, whether it's health and fitness, if you want to lose weight, whether it's build a business, if you want to have a high performing team that loves you to death and never wants to leave, you can use this same framework. If you want to build a marriage that lasts 50 plus years where you're happily married, this system works, this framework works. So you can apply it to anything and everything, which is why I asked the question, what do you really want to do with your life? What do you really want to do with it? So the first part of this 3-part framework is goals. Goals. It sounds simple, but do you have goals? Do you have clear, compelling goals that are authentic and true to you? Goals that are challenging, but also doable. This is one of those things that I think oftentimes people struggle with goals for numerous reasons, is because most of our life has been about pleasing other people. And we often fall into traps of doing what other people say we'd be good at, and we lose trust with ourselves. And so actually claiming goals and putting them out there is a very, very scary, risky thing. It takes effort to get clear about what you actually want to create in your life. And then to actually commit to it is a scary thing. Because if there's a goal that you're going for, there's actually a chance you might not hit it, which is terrifying, right? That you might not reach it. So the first thing we need to do if we want to create some magic in our life, we want to create the outcomes that we're looking for, is you got to have goals. And it's not just any goals. They got to be clear. They got to be compelling, meaning that they got to be meaningful to you. When I say compelling, they got to be meaningful and true to you. It's not a goal someone told you you should do. It's not the goal your boss said you should do. It's a goal that comes from your heart, from your soul, of what you truly want to create with your one precious life. Because if you just are doing goals that other people tell you to do, you're not going to do the work to actually make it happen. Right? So we want our goals to be meaningful. We want them to be compelling for us. We want them to be authentic and true. And another thing about goals is we want them to be challenging, because if they're not challenging, we'll get bored and we'll stop moving towards them. So they still need to be challenging, but then we also need to be doable, because if the goals are too hard, then we'll also quit. So there's this little sweet spot that we want to go to when it comes to creating and building, accomplishing anything you want to create in your life. You got to have a clear, compelling target, a clear, compelling goal that is authentic and true to you, that's challenging and also doable. Right? So clear, compelling goal. So to help you with this one, I want to invite you to ask yourself the most important question to goal setting, which is, what do I really want to do with my life? What do I really want to do with my life? I mean, for all we know, we only get one shot at this life, right? Some of you might believe in karma and might believe in, living in a past life potentially, right? But for all we know, we get one shot at this precious life. If you could do or be or have anything at all in life, what would it be? What would you create? And we should return to this question over and over and over and over again. Because what I have found as I ask and answer this question is that it evolves. What I'm doing right now today with this live, I would have never imagined myself being able to do 10 years ago. Like seriously. That as you go out and you start to incrementally achieve your goals, what you thought was once not possible becomes possible. You get closer and closer and closer. It's as if you were climbing a mountain, you get to the peak and you realize, oh, I made it to this peak. I can probably make it to that peak. But you didn't even think that was an option when you first started out 10 years ago. But it has to come from you. It has to be clear, compelling, and come from you. So I often recommend to my clients that they journal about this question often, and we ask ourselves all day, every day, what do I really want to create in my life? You got to have a clear, compelling target. The second part of this framework, again, this is the same framework I use to create awesome results in my life. I'll give you a story at the end of it of a real practical one. But the second one is systems. You got to have a system. And a system is a set of clear actions It's a set of clear actions you can take daily that over the long run, when you do it consistently day after day, the natural byproduct is you accomplishing that dream or goal. The natural byproduct is you accomplishing that dream or goal. So this is the second part where people get tripped up on. One, the first thing is they don't establish a clear, compelling goal that they actually really want to do. And then the second part of this is they don't create a system that's going to actually incrementally get them there closer. They expect to have that goal today. We all know that's not true, but yet you run through life thinking that you're going to have it instantly. Let's say, for example, you wanted to write a book. I don't know, maybe there's someone in here that might want to write a book. I'm not going to call you out, but you know who I'm talking to. If you really wanted to write a book and it authentically comes from your heart and your soul, that this would be a great achievement for you if you could leave some sort of a message to the world. The second part of this is having a system. Having a system. So, who wrote the book? Stephen King. Yeah, Stephen King. He wrote a book called On Writing. And somebody asked him one time, like, do you always write when you feel inspired? And he said, yes, it just so happens to be 6 a.m. every single day. He has a system for writing. He shows up and he writes. He has a system for writing. He shows up and writes. So every single morning at 6 a.m. he writes. And it might be crap, but he still wrote. He may keep it, he may ditch it, but he still wrote. He has a system that he applies every single day. A really great example of this is the guy who wrote the comics, who continues to write the comics, Dilbert. He wrote a fantastic book of I think it's called How to Fail It, How to be crappy and still win big, or How to Fail and Still Win Big. But the guy writes a comic every single morning. He has a system for it. And not every comic that he writes gets published, but there's a system for it. And I think one of the areas that people get lost when it comes to creating whatever it is they want to create in their life is that they create systems that are crappy, systems that they don't enjoy doing. So we're not just talking about accomplishing something 3 years from now when your book is done. We're talking about actually enjoying the process while you build even a better future, right? So we want a system that we're going to do every single day, challenging but doable, and it's something we is going to help us if we continuously do it over the long run. The natural byproduct is what it is you want to create in your life. So if you wanted to write a book, that would be your system. You would figure out, do I write best in the morning? Do I write best in the afternoon? What time of day works best for my family that I could stick to this? What are the writing habits of the best people in the world that I could create that same sort of system for me? So when it comes to identifying what you want and then identifying your system to actually do it, you can create your own system, or you can go buy the system from someone who's already done it, right? So this is basically the essence of having a personal trainer for fitness, is that they've got a system and you're going to pay them for the system and you're going to pay them for the accountability with it, right? You have a fitness goal that you've identified. You've tried to do it on your own. Your system isn't working, so you pay someone for their system. You might get a system out of a book. You can pay someone again for the system. You can go to a coach, a life coach, a business coach, an executive coach. But they have a system to help you achieve what it is that you truly want to achieve. Another kind of practical system I mentioned earlier that you can use this same framework for building a happy marriage. Another thing that when I'm working with clients, I encourage them to, at the minimum, have some sort of a date night, date day, kind of going away once a quarter with their spouse. Right? So at a minimum, 4 times a year, they're doing something that they're completely shut off from work. They're completely away from outside distractions. They're going on some sort of little adventure with their spouse 4 times a year. And that's a system for creating the ideal outcome, a happy marriage down the road. And maybe your system is having dinner together every night at the dinner table with no technology. Maybe that's your system for building a happy family that still hangs out together 20 years from now. Maybe that's your system, right? So you want to get crystal clear. What do you actually really want to do with your one precious life? and then build a system for it, a system that is sustainable, a system that you actually enjoy doing. It's still challenging. You may not want to do it every single day, but it's a system that you know if you stuck to it day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, you're going to create the outcome that you want. And what's really cool is if you develop the right system, you're able to keep rocking that system and maintain the results that you're getting. That's why you'll see authors that they're just not one and done with books. They write book after book after book after book because they've created a system that works for them to write that. When they first started it, they didn't know how to do it, so they struggled. And maybe the first book they wrote took 3 years, but then the second book they wrote took 18 months. And then the third book that they wrote took 9 months, right? They just get better and better and better at the system. So what is it you truly want in your life? That's the first step of this framework. Establish a clear, authentic goal. Don't do what your parents tell you to do. Do what comes from your heart. This is your one precious life. Your one precious life. What are you going to do with it? Create a system to rock it. All right, next up is the third element to how to get anything that you want in your life. And this one might shock you. So you have goals, you have a system, and the third one is energy. The third one is energy. You got to have fuel to run the system. Now, this is one that I overlooked for far too long, and it caused a huge delay and massive frustration in my life. This is one of the highest leverage points that people can pull in their lives to make their dreams come true, to truly live authentically and wholeheartedly. So the third is you need to get, if you really want to get everything in your life, you need to bring a high quantity and a high quality of energy to your system. It's the fuel. It's the fuel to run the car. A car can't run without fuel, right? Your system won't work without you personally having mental energy, emotional energy, spiritual energy, physical energy being put into your system. You want high octane, high fuel, high quantity, high quality energy going into the system. If you go to write that book in your system and you're tired and you maybe overate and now your body's trying to digest all your food and you're mentally not clear, you got fog brain, you're going to have a really hard time rocking the system and enjoying it. Right? So you gotta optimize your energy for the system. So if you want to get a promotion at work and you're showing up to meetings kind of half-baked, like your energy is not high quality energy, you don't have the quantity or the quality to engage in a strategic conversation at work, you're going to have a hard time making an impact that you want to make. Energy matters, and it matters a lot. If you're going to show up to, let's say you want to be the best mom in the world to your kids. If you're going to show up and read a book to your child every day, every evening, and you're too tired to read, your system isn't going to work well. It doesn't matter how great the system is. If you don't have the fuel to show up and give it all you got, you're going to have a hard time creating the outcomes you want, getting everything that you want in your life. So energy is a huge, huge lever to pull. One of the first things I ask the people that I work with is, how'd you sleep last night? Because if you're expecting to be a high-performing leader on your team and you're coming to work groggy, not mentally clear, with low energy, you're going to have a hard time getting them to perform the way you need them to perform, the way you want them to perform. Not only that, when we think about you showing up powerfully, confidently, rocking your system, having the impact that you want to have in your relationships, if you're not fueling your body right, if you're not sleeping well, you're going to have a hard time being confident. Like my confidence after 4 hours of sleep versus my confidence after 6, 8, 10 hours of sleep is drastically different. There's no way I could come up and I'm a competitor. I would figure out a way, but it's going to be really, really hard. When it comes to energy management, we want to make it, by building great habits around energy, we want to create the conditions that it's easier for us to show up as our best. in that meeting with that difficult employee, with that difficult customer, with your child kicking and screaming. We want to make it easier for you to show up as your best. And if you're tired, if you're not well resourced, you're going to have a hard time bringing that high quality of energy, that high quantity of energy. So those are the three things, the three-part framework to creating anything that you want to get out of life, anything at all. You need goals. They need to be clear, compelling, authentically yours, challenging but doable. Do you have goals? For those of you watching right now, if you do, give me a thumbs up. Can you write them down in a couple sentences? Give me a thumbs up if you got them. If you're watching the replay, give me a thumbs up. Goals, you got them. Secondly, do you have a system that you trust, that a system that you can learn to enjoy, that you can get better and better and better at, that doing that day in and day out is going to lead to the natural byproduct of you creating the goal that you want to create in your life. And the third element to this is, how are you sleeping? How are you moving? How's your nutrition? We want to optimize your energy, put the fuel in the tank of the system so you can get to where you want to go sooner rather than later and enjoy the process, right? Just think about a car who has determined a certain destination. I happen to live in the Pacific Northwest. If I was going to drive to Florida to go to Disney World, right? That's my goal. What's going to be my system for getting there? Am I going to take a plane? I'm going to drive? Am I going to take a train, right? That's part of your system for where you want to go. And then you want to chunk it back down. How many hours a day am I going to drive that's actually going to allow me to enjoy the trip and enjoy my loved one on the trip, that we're not cranky with each other? What's kind of the maximum threshold that we're going to drive together? Is it we're going to switch seats every 100 miles? Are we going to stop every 2 hours? What's going to be our system so we can enjoy the process to get from the Pacific Northwest to Disney World together? Right? So we got to know our system. How are we fueling our bodies for that drive too, so we can enjoy the process of getting from where we are now to where we want to be. So for those of you still hanging out, what questions do you have? What goals do you have in mind? Can you see how this might work for you and your dreams of what you're trying to create in your life? What do you really want to create with your one precious life? 3 steps to it. I'll give you a quick example of this also while you guys think about that. My 10-year anniversary was 2017. And at that time, going into that year, 2017, I was at the highest weight I had ever been at in my entire life. I was over 235 pounds. And my goal that I really, really wanted to create for myself wasn't 6-pack abs. It was, by the time our anniversary happens in May, we're going to Disney World, and I want to be able to walk the parks with my love and still like each other at the end of the day. And I knew at 235 pounds and the amount of exercise I was doing at that particular time, that was going to be a very, very challenging goal to achieve without putting some work in before I got there. So I figured I'm going to be walking at Disney World probably like 6, 7, 8 miles a day. Some of the days we were there, we actually walked closer to 10 miles. So I knew I needed to, beginning in January, start to increase my step count to over 10,000. At the time, I was only doing like 2,000 steps a day. I was working in corporate. I was barely getting out of my desk. I was barely moving around. So I had very, very minimal steps. If I was going to achieve this goal by May, I needed to start building a system that's going to challenge me to take more steps every single day. So by the time I got to May, I was able to walk 7, 8, 10 miles a day and still be in a pleasant mood. Well, that kickstart my journey. I ended up losing over 60 pounds over the course of the next 24 months, but that was the beginning of the journey. I had a clear goal that meant something to me. I created a system where I was counting steps and I was walking at certain times of the day to help me achieve that. So I had a tracking system in there too. And I was bringing my best energy to it. So I would walk in the morning to help me get a little further in the day, right? And then even at lunch hour, doing some walking steps in there too. But that's just a real practical example of how I used it. Right now I'm using it to build a business, right? One of the systems is I want to get better at going live on Facebook. This is now a system. I did it last week on a Thursday. I'm going to do it. I did it today. I'm going to do it again next Thursday. And I'm going to keep rocking this system week after week after week so I can try to get better at this and make a bigger impact in your lives and truly help people live and lead their most authentic, most awesome kick-ass lives. Like I said before, I was just walking down the street and my neighbor, his wife died this week. She was only like 65. That's less than 20 years from where I'm at right now. That's less than 20 years from where I'm at right now. Like, life is so precious. It's so finite. What are you going to do with your one precious life? What do you want to create in your life? What do you really, really want to do with your life? These are 3 parts to a process you can use to create whatever it is that you want to create in your life while enjoying the process. That's it today. Thanks for hanging out. Rosie, Dad, good to see you guys. Anybody watching the replay, leave a comment below. Send me your questions. Send me your goals. Shoot me some DMs. And I'd be happy to share anything I've learned on topics that you might be struggling with to help you stay inspired and committed to living and leading your best life, being and becoming your best self, doing work you feel called to do, and making the impact that you want to make while living a really, really awesome life. Heather, good to see you. Thanks for joining me today. We'll be back next Thursday. Send me topics that you want to hear about. And what do you really, really want to do with your life, Heather? Let's build some systems and rock it. Have an awesome day, you guys. Much love. See ya.